Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Get Crazy Confident on the Listing Appointment with our host with the most, Coach Darryl Davis. We're super excited that you're here to get the most from today's webinar. We want you to take really good notes and use that Q&A panel there to ask any questions you might have. We're going to get to those at the end. If you want to reach us at any time after today's webinar, you can reach us at Darryl Speaks on all social media networks. Darryl is the author of 3 books, all published by McGraw-Hill Publishers. That first one you see there, How to Become a Power Agent in Real Estate, is actually the #1 selling book to realtors on Amazon. Darryl is the recipient, he was voted a big-hearted and brave, one of the real estate newsmakers for 2021 by Riz Media Magazine. And he's the recipient of the coveted CSP designation by the National Speakers Association, which is only given to less than 2% of speakers worldwide. And on that note, drum roll, please take it away, Darryl.
It was funny. We were saying how you've gotten so good at that opening that hopefully you won't jinx yourself.
Yeah, I just jinxed myself.
All right. So, gang, welcome to today's webinar. So I always start off the same way, which is answering this question in case there's any new agents on this call. Is this webinar a sales pitch? It's not, but I do want to be totally transparent that you understand that every Wednesday we do these webinars. We call them Webinar Wednesday, and these are for our power agents that are in our coaching program. So some of you on this call are power agents, and then there's some of you that are guests. I do want to talk to the guests just for a second. Guests, at the end of this webinar, we're going to give you an opportunity if you want to kick the tires and join the trial. But real quick, the reason why I'm sharing that now is from time to time during the webinar, because this is really for power agents, I'm going to be having like a sidebar conversation. I'll say something to them. But trust me, everybody's going to get a fire hose of content today. For the guests, just so you understand briefly up front, the Power Agent Program is our membership, our coaching, which it's valued at $197. But because of the pandemic, we've locked it in for people who join at $47 for life until they decide to cancel. But you have an opportunity as a guest today to join at $5 if you want. You have the entire access to the website, which I'm going to be teaching from today. Plus, you're going to get some really great bonuses that you get to keep if you decide to cancel, which you can do at any time. So with that said, let me talk to the power agents just for a second. Power agents, I just want to remind you that we posted in the classroom for you this little infographic, which you can also use on listing appointments to explain to a homeowner that is a FSBO why 89% of the homeowners who do not sell as FSBO, but they actually work with a realtor. And because of that, they actually net more money, and the money they net is higher than if they try to sell as a for sale by owner. So actually, we put money in homeowners' pockets. And we also shared NAR's 2020 profile of home buyers and sellers, which a lot of that stuff is there. The other thing, and I'm talking fast because we have so much covered today, is the seller's guide. We just finished that and completed it. We launched it. It's over 43 pages for the power agents, which you can use as a door knocking thing, use it on your website, use it on listing appointments. I know some of our power agents are having some really wonderful success with it, and they absolutely love it. So power agents, where you'll find all that is in the classroom. When you go to classroom and then you click on farming and self-promotion, you will see those items, okay? With that said, let's get into today's topic, which is about getting crazy confident. So the first thing I want to share with you about getting crazy confident on a listing appointment is you've got to know that you're essential. So I'm going to pause for a second because I've been speaking really fast. And I want to make sure everybody gets this, that you as a real estate professional are essential to the real estate transaction. And here's why I can make that assertion. I'm going to give you a lot of facts to show that. Let me pause for a second because I want to make sure you get this concept. Is that there's a Japanese poem that goes, communication is like an iceberg. When you see the tip of the iceberg above the ocean surface, that tip only represents 10% of the whole iceberg. The other 90% that you don't see is below the surface. And communication is the same way. The words that we use only represent 10% of the communication. The other 90%, that we don't see is who you are, your intentionality, your confidence. That's why this is such an important conversation, because if who you are is not confident about the value you bring to the table for a homeowner, the less effective you're going to be. I can give you the best scripts in the world, but it's who you are that really shapes your speaking. So let me share a concept with you. In preparing for this webinar, I was thinking about, I asked myself the question, how long has real estate agents been around? Well, what's really interesting, the whole concept of realtor, like that designation, that association, National Association of Realtors, we've been around for over 100 years. But the actual real estate agent before NAR came about, the real estate agent itself has been around almost 200 years, about 175 years. Look at that screenshot, what I'm sharing with you right now. Sears and Goodrich, real estate agent, locators, surveyors. And if you look at really close, you'll see I'm looking school lands, railroad lands, fire insurance. Our profession has been around for almost 200 years. Let me tell you something. If we weren't essential, we wouldn't be around almost 200 years. We bring something to the table for homeowners. So let's go through this some more. See, one of the challenges that homeowners have is they think that they can sell it at the same price that we can. On every home, ladies and gentlemen, there's two prices on every house. There's the for sale by owner price and there's the realtor price. And part of what impacts that is the tools that brings those buyers and that advertising, that marketing, their promotion. And for sale by owner, the tools that they have at their disposal are pretty limited, whereas we as professionals have so much more. This is one of the reasons why we're essential. Listen, you and I wake up every morning thinking about how we can help our sellers get their property sold. That's who we are. That's what we do. We don't do real estate. We are real estate. And this is why this is so important. Marketing 101, to get the highest possible price in anything you're trying to sell, is you want to get as many buyers wanting that item. The more people that want something, that drives the price. How do you do that? It's through exposure, that everybody in the price range of a particular home, they need to know that the house is for sale. And how do you give something exposure? Is marketing tools. The more tools you have, the more exposure a property gets, which means more buyers, which drives the price. This is just one of the reasons why you and I are essential to the real estate transaction. See, I've talked about this. I love this analogy that if you were to consider a buyer as like a fish, and if you were trying to catch a fish, and I would say this to a homeowner, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, when you put an ad out into the internet or you put a for sale sign, each one of those items is like a fishing pole. So you put a for sale sign, that's a fishing pole. You put an ad online, that's a fishing pole. The reason why real estate agents are so essential, and the reason why we sell houses for more than what a for sale by owner does, is because we're like a fishing trawler. We throw out a big net into the ocean and we bring a lot more buyers on board, as opposed to just sitting in a rowboat throwing that fishing line out. But here's something else too. I said we're essential. You see, listen to what I'm saying, gang. Is that part of what we do? Because a homeowner will think, well, I don't need marketing. This market is so hot, I could put a for sale sign around my kid's neck, have them walk in front of the front lawn, and before I got to call them in for dinner, I'll probably have the house sold. So a lot of homeowners think that they don't need our marketing. But there's a lot more to the process to selling a house than just finding the buyer. You know, this screenshot of a musical, if you look at this screenshot, you've got all these people involved in putting together this show. You've got the actors, lighting design, set design, costume design, choreography, musical director, every day in rehearsal, there's only one person that everybody talks to, and that's the director. The director is the glue that keeps the show together. You can't put a show together without a director. If you tried, it probably would bomb. In a real estate transaction, you have the same thing. You've got all these people involved in producing this end result called a real estate contract, or actually a real estate closing. You've got the sellers, you've got the buyers, you've got the appraiser, you've got the engineer. In some parts of the country, especially like in New York, some homeowners will say, I don't need an agent because I have an attorney that will help me. All right, let's say the buyers have an attorney too. And then you've got the title company, home inspector, bank rep. Now here's what's very interesting in this transaction. This, as a seller, and I would say this to a homeowner, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahan, if you're a for sale by owner, you would only talk to the buyers and to your attorney. You would never talk to the buyer's attorney. You would never talk to the home inspector or the bank rep. Your attorney that you said is going to cover this and do this for you while you don't need a realtor. Well, your attorney only talks to the buyer's attorney and to you. They don't talk to the buyers. They don't talk to the home inspector. They don't talk to the bank. You've got all these people not talking to one another. And the scary thing is any one of them has the power to kill the transaction. There's only one person that everybody talks to, and that's me, the real estate professional. You trying to sell a house without an agent is like trying to put a Broadway show together without a director. It's going to bomb. Listen, if selling a house was as simple as just finding the buyer, you wouldn't have to be licensed by the state to help other people do this. Therefore, there must be more behind the curtains that you're not aware of that goes into producing this end result. Listen, if we didn't provide value, we wouldn't be around for over 175 years. Here's something else. You think about this. If you were sick, who would you call? A doctor. And if you were going to get sued, you would call a lawyer. And when it comes time to doing your taxes, you would call an accountant. Why would you do anything different with your most important asset called your home? So, gang, you have to know that you are essential. If you get that in your, not just your head, but in your heart, you will have that confidence. Some of you get in your own way. You worry about your production or years of experience, and you don't think maybe you're of value to somebody. Let me tell you something. The fact that you've got a license, the state, your state already said you're valuable. Why? Because they gave you a certificate that says so. Here's something else. You've got to, you've got to believe that you are worth what you charge. Now, one of the things I'm going to suggest that you do is you sit down and you make a list of all the things that you can do for a homeowner and all the things that you do for a buyer. Sit down and make that list until you're exhausted. And by the time you're done, you know what will probably happen? You'll say, geez, I should hire myself to sell a house. Listen, Power Agents, I'm going to talk to you for a second. We did this for you, by the way. One of the things that we're proud of, we created the top 184 things a realtor does to help in a transaction. And we created this. Now, at Power Agents, I just want to remind you, all the stuff that we give you, you can customize it. You'll see it on the screen there. You see the bottom left-hand corner? You type in your contact information, and then you can use this on a listing appointment, a pre-listing packet, a mailing piece. But anyway, so that's just for the Power Agents. Where you will find that, by the way, Power Agents, when you go to the farming tab, you will see, look at this, 184, the e-guide, 184 things a realtor does, a real estate professional does. I want to, by the way, shout out something that Julie just told me we finished. So we had this idea of a checklist to give to buyers and sellers when they're making a move. It's called the Easy Move Guide. So I had this idea. I gave it to my team. We just finished it. It's finished. Julie, how many pages is this stupid thing?
It's not stupid.
It's crazy. Like I said, I wanted like a couple of pages. What is it?
Hold on, I'll tell you. It is 33 pages.
How many?
33.
33 pages. My team, I give them a little idea. They get crazy. They write a whole book. All right. Here's the next thing. You have to believe whatever a seller can sell for is less than what you can sell for. This is very important. See, some of you, if you think a homeowner can sell at the same price that you can, it's going to impact your confidence level. You have to believe that a homeowner actually makes money with you, or said another way, a homeowner selling on their own loses money. Let me show you. Number one, FSBO buyers are different from the realtor buyer. Now, by the way, I just have to say this. I probably don't have to. I don't think there's anybody in the country that's not a realtor. But if you're not a realtor, you need to be a realtor. And if you're not, you can't call yourself a realtor. So just be clear on that. That's a registered trademark. Now, so anyway, there's FSBO buyers and then there's realtor buyers. They're different because sometimes a homeowner say, I don't need an agent. I got a slew of buyers. No, not the same. Let me show you. And one of my favorite analogies. If you were going to buy a couch, where would you go? You would go to a furniture store. Now, let's just look at one. You can say Ethan Allen, Thomasville, high-end, doesn't matter. Let me ask you, are you going to pay top dollar if you go to one of these high-end stores? Of course you are. Do you know you're paying top dollar? Of course you do. You know you're paying top dollar before you go there. Watch this. Any buyer that commits to buying a couch from a high-end store, they're making a commitment, watch this, to spending top dollar. They know this. Why would anybody buy a couch a used couch from eBay. I mean, think about it. You don't know if you can trust the sellers. You don't know if the color is going to match. You get to see it in person. It's a used couch. You don't know what it's been used for. So why would somebody buy a used, dirty, stinky couch from eBay? Why? One reason, to get a deal, to save money. eBay attracts the discount buyer, the person that's looking for the deal. You said, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, anybody walks into my office, they know they're paying top dollar. Why? Because every house I show them has a commission in the asking price of the property. But the types of buyers I attract, they're not looking to steal a house. They're looking to buy a home from a company they can trust. In other words, we attract the Ethan Allen buyers of real estate, whereas eBay attracts the for sale by owner type of buyer, you see. So it's kind of like that coupon cutting mentality. Not that there's anything wrong with spending the time and energy to cut out coupons and save a quarter here, 50 cents and $1 there. That's good. But that's the type of buyers that you're attracting. It's not the same type of buyer. The buyers we attract are different. Here's what I want you guys to do. I did this recently. So one of the cars that we own is a Yukon Denali, 2016. I bought it used. I never buy new cars, by the way. It's a little financial tip. You lose money right away. I don't like that. So the Yukon Denali, if you go to Kelley Blue Book, I want you to do this with your car, like I did with mine. Sit down and type in your car, Kelley Blue Book, the miles, the make, and the and here's what you're going to find. What I found, the Yukon Denali, the fair market price, $40,000 to $45,000. If I was buying from a dealer, do you see above that circle? It's in bold. It says buy from a dealer. Do you see next to that? It says buy from a private party. Or when you look at that price, that's $38,043. That's a 5% difference for the same exact car. For the same car. The same car is 5% cheaper with buying privately. Why is that? Here's why. There's a concept in anything. I don't care if it's a car, furniture, clothes, When you buy from the person who owns the item, that's a little risky because you don't know if you could trust it. You don't know if they could trust how they're representing. So there's a concept called risk reward. The higher the risk, the more reward, you see. So if I'm going to buy directly from the owner of that item, my reward as a buyer is a better price. We attract different buyers. Here's something else too. Why is a FSBO in the first place? Because they want to save the money. They want to save the commission. Do you think the buyers know this? Of course. If an eBay buyer, a coupon cutting buyer wants to save money, do you think they want to pay it to the same commission to the seller? Of course not. So here's what they do. They see your house, and I'm going to just use $100,000 to make the math easy. There's not many places where you can buy a house for $100,000, but we're just keeping the math easy. If that's the FSBO price of $100,000, and I'm a FSBO buyer, I certainly don't want to give that homeowner the commission. I'm trying to save the commission. So what do? Bing, I take 3% off the top. Now that $97,000 is what a homeowner would net if they had listed with an agent. Well, I want a deal. I don't want them to net the same amount. I know what they're trying to do, the seller. So I'm going to knock off another 3%. Mr. and Mrs. Hana, this is one of the reasons why homeowners selling on their own wind up selling for 6 to 10% less than if they work with a real estate professional. This is one of the reasons. See, and I said this, they're not the same buyers. See, can you imagine flying in today's world without a TSA? Of course not. That's dangerous. So TSA is, they go through a whole check. Is your name matching? Is it your baggage with you? You got to go through the screening process. There's a whole process. But when you're committed to flying, you're going to fly. You'll go through that process. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, any buyer that walks into my office, they know I'm going to pre-screen them. I'm going to ask for their FICO score. I'm going to ask for their money down, validate their funds to make sure that they have it. Like coming to a real estate professional, they're going through TSA. This is why our buyers are different than that for sale by owner buyer. Here's the second reason why they don't save money. It's already published that FSBOs lose money. It's published left and right. I just showed you, Power Agents, at the beginning of the call, the 2020, the NAR's 2020 profile. They lose money when they're selling on their own. But I'm going to show you some other stuff. For sale by, you go to forsalebywowner.com. Go to forsalebywowner.com and you're going to see don't go now. You're going to see a slide that you see this where you can slide that say, all right, if I sell a house for 2.1 million, they're saying I'm going to save $105,000 in commission. So I should list with for sale by owner. Why would I pay $105,000? Now watch this. The guy that created for salebyowner.com, Kobe Sambrato, he wanted to sell his condominium in New York City, 2,000 square feet. He tried doing it on his own because he's the FSBO king. 6 months. Look at that. 6 months. He tried to do it on his own. After 6 months, this guy, he come on now. This guy listed with a real estate agent. I mean, right there, that's like a mic drop. The guy that is the for sale by owner king, he couldn't even sell his own property. He lists with an agent. Come on now. Now watch this. Kobe Sambrato, he got multiple offers after he listed with the agent, and multiple. And then he pays $120,000 commission. But now if you can see the math on the slide, he sold it for $150,000 more than his original FSBO price. So in other words, he actually, after paying $129,000 commission, he netted more money in his pocket. And he saved time. He lost the 6 months. He should have just listed out the gate. Do you see that? They're saying don't pay $105,000 in commission with 2.1, but yet he pays $129,000. Come on, this is crazy. This is so obvious. This guy, byowner.com, here's another one. He's making money off of people. Don't list with an agent. List with us, and you save the money. Now, what's funny is he's using realtor.com. He's using our industry to help homeowners get the house sold. But look at this guy. Watch this. He owns a property in Clearwater, Florida, and he hired a realtor to sell his house. He listed it. It was St. Petersburg Beach, Coldwell Banker agent Donna Miller. So even this guy. So listen, let me tell you something. These people that are telling homeowners that they can save money, they won't even sell FSBO. They even list with an agent. Come on now. Listen, this is an article I always share. I love this article. The reason why I love this article is because USA Today, this article, 2003. I had somebody say, Darryl, why are you showing an article from 2003? Well, because that's when they published it. But this article is great. Because, see, back in 2003, if any of you have been around real estate as long as I have, 2003, that's when the bubble got started. Like that, the market we have now is exactly like what 2003 was as far as homeowners appreciate the property values and homeowners not needing agents. It's, I don't need an agent. This market is so hot. Same market was 2003. And here's what they found. USA Today, they did this national study, and there's a graph there. I'm going to go into the graph. They said homeowners that sold their own property at the time in this hot sellers market, like the one we have now, was 137,400. But the neighbors in the same exact cities that listed with a realtor, the average sales price was $175,000. If you do the math, that means we sell houses for 21.49% higher. Come on, gang. We provide so much value to homeowners, you see. Here's the third thing is third-party negotiating. One of the things that we do for a homeowner is we are the buffer between the buyer and the homeowner, and that's very valuable, very valuable. You see, in show business, there is the number one rule about show business, and that is the talent never talks to the money. The talent being the actor, the money being the producer. Some of you remember this show, 2.5 Men, Charlie Sheen. Now, I don't know if you remember, but back then when his contract was up, he started talking bad about the producer, Chuck Lorre, and he was literally trying to negotiate his increase in his salary publicly. He was on the news. He was on television. He was saying, yeah, they're not giving me. And he was literally negotiating. The talent was negotiating directly with the money, the producer. That'd be like a buyer talking directly to the seller about a price. And what happened is emotions flared, deal fell apart, and bada bing, they got a new person to fill in for Charlie Sheen. The talent should never talk to the money. Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, you should never talk directly with the buyer. See, I could be a jerk with the buyer, and it won't reflect bad on you, and I can fight to get you a better price for your property. If you do it, you could offend a buyer and the money walks out the door. See, this is why there's an expression, an attorney who represents themselves has a fool for a client. And the reason why that is because you're too emotionally attached to the outcome. So you make emotional mistakes. My job is to be that buffer, to be objective, to fight for you. See, if I were to ask you to take these 9 dots, this is just an exercise in the concept of this. And I asked you to connect these 9 dots with 4 straight lines. But once you put your pen on the paper, you cannot lift your pen off the paper. And if any of you are watching this and you're visually trying to do it, you'll probably notice visually what you did right away is stay within this box, which I didn't say you stay in the box. Actually, in order to successfully do that, is you've got to go outside of the box in order to connect the 9 dots with 4 straight lines. My job, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, as your agent is to look outside of the box to see the things that you don't see, to coach you through the process. See, when you're in the picture, it's hard to see the frame. My job is to be outside of you emotionally and to fight for you. And this is one of the reasons why homeowners selling on their own do not sell as much as when an agent sells for them. Here's the last thing I'm going to share with you. As a for sale owner, they cannot follow up with a buyer. If a buyer walks into the house and they like the property, if that homeowner calls that buyer to follow up and say, are you still interested? Have you thought about it? Immediately, they've lost thousands of dollars in negotiation. Why? Because they seem desperate. They seem more committed to selling than maybe the buyer is. Let me show you, Mr. and Ms. Anna, what happens when a buyer, they like your house and they leave your house. They've got to find money. When they go to find money, there's all these different options. There's FHA, VA, conforming, super, there's jumbo, conventional, hard money, subprime. When buyers are faced with this, they get confused. And when they're confused, they take no action. This is just one company. This is one company's rate sheet showing all the different types of things. And then there's assumptions at the bottom, and then you got to read and try and make sense of that. And then on top of that, between the FHA and conventional, which is different, if I have a different FICO score, I got to have a different down payment where I got to put more if my FICO score is not as good. My job, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, is once a buyer likes your property, is that I take them away. My job is to manage the emotional roller coaster that they're going to go through. I have in my car, I've got this blanket. You know what the blanket's for? It's to put it on buyers' feet when they get cold feet and they get confused and worried. You can't, this is one of the reasons why also you're at a disadvantage when you're a for sale owner. Gang, here's the bottom line, what I'm telling you. As a real estate professional, you are essential. And I'm not just talking COVID. I'm talking we've been around almost 200 years. We wouldn't be around that long if we were not essential to the real estate transaction, essential to homeowners and selling their property. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go through quickly the listing appointment. Now, there's a dedicated, I'll talk about, I recorded a webinar just on the listing appointment. So I'm going to pull from that just a little bit here. Julie, how are we doing, by the way?
You are on a roll, my friend.
Okay, let's talk about building the listing appointment. I took the word real and I broke it up into sections. R standing for rapport, E stands for engage, advice, and then list to leave and get the hell out of there before they change their mind. Why do I have Fred Astaire and Garages there? My broker, Mac Levitt, he was my mentor. I'll never forget something he said. He said, Darryl, a listing appointment is like a dance. The dance floor is the kitchen table. Your partners are the seller. And the metaphors and analogies used, those are your dance moves. So I'm going to show you how to put together real briefly a dance routine on the listing appointment. So let's first start with rapport. There's an old expression that people don't know they don't care what you know until they know how much you care. It's really important that you build that connection, build that rapport with the homeowner. So the first step is make sure you bring the right attitude. And I talked to you about the Japanese poem and the iceberg, and the tip of the iceberg is only 10%. The other ice part you don't see, that's who you are. So what's your right attitude? Let me tell you that the attitude for power agents is this. Power agents, we don't sell people, we serve people. I want that to sink in. We don't sell people, we serve people. Here's the second thing. We don't close people, we coach people. Now, listen, this is the philosophy of power agents. Those of you that are guests on the call, I like you to have the same philosophy. And that is, you're going into a listing appointment not to sell people, but to serve them, not to close them, but to coach them, to help them get to their next level. You know, part of listen, not all of you need about to hear what I'm going to say, but those of you that are insecure, those of you insecure on the list, the reason why you're insecure is because you're making it about you getting a listing, taking a listing. Let go of that, please. You're already licensed by the state. You already know more than any civilian. I don't care how many listings you got last year. The fact you got a license, you know more right out the gate. Now, I want you to go there to just help people, man. Just help them. Just help them. Just help them. Don't worry about getting the listing. Because you know what will happen? If you're good at helping them, you care about them, you serve them, you don't sell them, you coach them, you don't close them, you know what's going to happen? They're going to give you the listing. You won't have to take it. They're going to give it to you. They're going to choose you. They're going to hire you. Stop taking, give. It'll come. It'll be much more effective. So have the right attitude. Here's the second thing: is you give them a friendly. I'm really breaking this down now. You give them a friendly greeting. You ring the doorbell. If you're doing it in person, virtual, same concept. But at some point, when you're going to go to the house, you're going to look at the house. Have them take them to the kitchen table. Like you want to take your stuff. You got stuff put under the kitchen table. Don't sit down yet. You're going to now go through the house. Have them take you through. You know why you're having them take you through? Is because it's really about you build. What's step one say? Everybody say it. So make believe I can hear you. It's to build rapport. The whole reason why you're having both Mr. and Mrs. take you through the house is to build that rapport. Ooh, this not. Ooh, you did this. Nice. You build rapport. Once you feel like you've accomplished that, speed up the talk. Go back to the kitchen table because that's where your stuff is. Now you're going to sit down and you're going to start to ask them questions. You're going to break the ice first, though. Here's one of the things that suggests breaking the ice. When you sit down, you give them some gifts. When at Power Agents, these are some of the things that we created for you. You know, people, if somebody is a for sale bone, listen, if you're going to be a FSBO, I just want to give you this. It's a home seller safety checklist because these are honest things. And I want to be clear about this checklist, gang. This is not to scare people into listing with you. That is not the purpose. These are real, valid things. And I think we should listen. Even in our business, it could be dangerous. So these are good, valuable things to share with the homeowner. One of the things we created at the last year because of the pandemic is about safe showings, and we use the word safe as an acronym. It's sanitize the home, airways, cover the airways, and footwear, cover the feet, because actually the virus, you drag it through, believe it or not. And then the eyes, don't use your hands. Anyway, safe showing, give that to a homeowner. You have a homeowner, this is another one, quick ways to get a house ready. You all know sometimes somebody wants to see a house pretty quick. Is 10 quick things to do to get ready in 10 minutes for a buyer that happens to be driving in the area or something like that, or you get that last minute phone call. All right, now, here's a couple of things that's close to my heart, and that's children. A lot of people don't realize this, that children, when it comes to moving, it's emotional for them, and sometimes the younger they are, the harder it is for them to communicate it, but the issue is still there. So a couple of pieces that we created because of our love for children is this quick move guide for children to make it a fun experience, almost like a game. So it's a little tips for children to help them. Another thing we created is if you're the agent and the homeowner hires you, you ask the kid to help be your realtor partner, right? And you tell them, listen, I need your help as we're selling, mommy and daddy are selling the house. Can you be my assistant realtor? And you say that to a kid, man, they'll love it. You know, they'll love it. Oh, yeah. Now, here's what we're going to do is when you do these items, you're going to get tickets. Pick up the toys, make the bed in the morning, turn the lights on, because we have to be ready for people to come. This is what an assistant does for realtor. The kids will get so wrapped up in this, and then you actually give them little coupons. The parents will give coupon to the kid every time they clean their bedroom. They turn the lights on, and then they trade it in for a prize. You know, this is a nice icebreaker, but it's also a good thing for children, okay? So, all right, so you build that rapport. You tour the house, you sit down, you break the ice. Now we're going to engage the homeowner in the conversation. How we're going to do that is we're going to ask questions. Now, I'm not going to go through these questions because I still have so much more to give you in our time together. But part of why you're asking the questions is to get clearer with the homeowner what they're committed to accomplishing, because no homeowner is selling a house just to sell a house. They're selling their house because they're committed to their next level. And what we do as real estate professionals, we don't sell houses, but what we do is help people get to the next level. And we are licensed by the state to manage the real estate piece, because without the real estate piece working out, they won't get to the next level. What you do is make a difference. What you do is change people's lives. What you do is you help people get to their next level. So these questions are designed to help you get to the heart of what they're committed to having happen in their life. Once you're clear about what they're committed to, now you're going to give them advice. This is when you're going to tell them, here's how I can help you get to your next level. Now, power agents, I want to talk to you for a second. When you go to the webinars on demand, there's a plethora of webinars. And one of these are online training for you guys, just like this, okay? But you guys get a copy of the slides, so it's like a training program. You'll have my slides, you'll take notes, like you'll get the slides today after this. But there's the webinar I did on the listing appointment that goes through what I'm going to show you now. Actually, there's a slide deck, a PowerPoint slide of 103 slides, and I'm going to show you some of them now. And then I did a recording of going through each and every slide as if I was on a listing appointment. So I did it as if I was talking to a homeowner. Here's how you would put together, my opinion, your listing conversation. Now, some of you experienced agents will go, you know what you're doing. But for the people that need this, here's how I think you should put it together. You should have 4 sections. And one section is talking about your credibility. Like here, your NAR certificate that you got, community involvement, license, testimonial blurbs, any of that stuff. Oh, and I'm going to show you a great way to do a testimonial in a minute. It's cool. Copy of the code of ethics as a realtor. The second section is about your company. Now, this section is, motivational devices you might use in the office. If you belong to a franchise, how big, business cards of all the agents in your office to show the bigness. That's a pretty powerful thing. Anyway, what I want to be clear with you about is section 2 is not what your company does to sell a home, like advertising and stuff like that. This is the bigness and credibility stats, MLS stats about your company, production. The third section is validating realtor, which, by the way, I just did. At the beginning of this webinar, I did some of those things. The director's technique, we've been around for almost 200 years, the Kelly Blue Book. So that section is really good when you're talking to a FSBO. Now, if you're not talking to a FSBO, you don't have to do that section. But with a FSBO, they have to first buy into realtor before they'll buy into you. And then the last section is your successes, how you market properties, what you do, and how you do it different from other agents. All right, let me give you, for instance. Now, I told you these are some of the slides from the 103 slide deck that's in the Power Program website, gang. All right. But let me go through this. So the first section is about you. Now, by the way, the reason why this looks so boring is because, let me show you something. Let me get out of the thing over here. Give me. See this here? This is what you would do is you would put in all this stuff is customizable. My bio. And then here you put your photo. So these are templates. This is why it looks very boring, right? So you put in a section about you, some bullets. Maybe your recent sales, you can put it there, or you can have screenshots of MLS information, testimonials. Now, let me show you something. I'm going to play this because I want you to see, especially in this day and age of technology, how cool is this? And if you were face-to-face, you play it on your iPad, your computer. If you're virtual, you do the watch this.
Hey, guys. Walter Florian, broker at Home Buyers Marketing out of Massac, New York. What I best like about the Power Agent program is the portal that's available. Whether you're working with a buyer or a seller, the information is amazing. You can customize flyers by adding your picture, your information, and your company logo. Some of the flyers... Okay,
so anyway, you get the idea. So I'm going to give everybody this. Recording was sent to Walter by Video Ask. Everybody jot that down, Video Ask. Video Ask is a great platform where you can get testimonials via just sending a link and the camera activates. It's so easy to get video testimonials. So it's called Video Ask. Okay, that's how we did it. Okay, accomplishments, certificates you put there too. So we're still talking about you. Okay. Now the company section, these should be items that establishes your company's credibility. I've already said this, not marketing tools. Let me give you some examples. You have bullets about your broker, or your manager, your team leader, how long they've been licensed, when did they start real estate, If you have a leadership team, executive people in the office, if you've got more than one office, so you're adding that credibility of the company. You might show some statistics about how your company compares to the market overall, or if you're competing against an individual agent or company, you would show those stats, right? So wherever your number one, your office is, whether it's days on markets, list price to sales price ratio, any of that stuff, you want to share that in this section here. You may also want to talk about the market, how the market is going when you're talking to a homeowner. My suggestion is to use people see enough national stuff. I think you should do local stuff. You should show the homeowner what's happening in their local market. And this you pull from the MLS stats. That's what people care about. People, when you talk national, sometimes it'll be, but my house is different. My market is different. My town is different. So sometimes it will actually using the national could almost hurt you with your credibility with your homeowners. They want to know what you know locally. Now, the next part is the seller success system. What you're going to do is, and I like alliteration, that's why we call it that. This is now, so we talked about me, we talked about my company. Now, Mr. and Ms. Hanna, let me share with you how we market properties and how we can get to your next level. By the way, here's a little tip. Some of you know this, your power agents know this. The number one secret to dramatically increasing your income and getting more listings and being more effective is using stories, metaphors, and analogies. Not using scripts. If you'll notice, I've been doing metaphors and analogies during this webinar. Like when I talked about Kelley Blue Book, that was a metaphor or an analogy. When I talked about the director's technique, when I talked about the fishing pole technique, these are all metaphors. And here's a great thing about it. These are for the new people that are not power agents. The great thing about metaphors and analogies is you don't have to memorize script. So you can use your own words, talk from your heart, not your head. See that fishing pole technique? You probably can go do that. You only heard it once. That director's technique, Ming, I know some of you love that. You can go do that. You only heard it once. That's the beautiful thing here. You don't have to memorize scripts. Now, let me tell you what you can do with these metaphors. You put them into two categories. There's handling objections. Like commission or price. When they said, the discount broker, they'll charge less, you can use the attorneys. When I said you represent yourself as a FSBO, you don't want to go to court representing yourself like an attorney represents themselves. They have a fool for a client. So there's all these metaphors, analogies. When we talk about Colby Sembrado, the buyowner.com guy. Okay, but the other one is marketing tools. When you talk about brokers, open house, public open house, yard sign, lockbox, all these things, you should use metaphors and analogies. Let me show you some examples. Now, by the way, let me go back. You see this objection handling? We're not doing that here today on this webinar. I only got an hour with you. All right. So if you want power agents for handling objections, I've got a couple of webinars I did. Now, you'll notice, gang, look at the screen. It says, power agents, when you're in the website and you type in the search field commission, it'll show, you'll see there's 2 webinars I did just on getting higher commissions and handling the commission objection. So anyway, so that's just a little tip for you. What we're going to focus on is the marketing tools. So when you talk about, for example, if you're doing a broker's open house to a homeowner, you might say, an example of a broker's open house is like what they do in Manhattan. Now, again, COVID's changed things a little bit, but we'll be coming back to it pretty soon. And that is, think of a fashion show in New York City. What do they do with a fashion show? Well, when you've got a clothes designer who's going to launch a new product, there's a buzz in the industry saying, hey, so-and-so design has got a new line of clothes. So that buzz right away is good. Then what they do is they have the fashion show and all the buyers from all the different stores come to the fashion show to see the clothes that they like. And if they like something, they bring it back to their store or to their business. Brokers open house is the same exact thing. The fact that we're even going to have your house comes to market, I start spreading the word that we're going to have brokers open house and brokers come check it out. That's already creating a buzz, just like the fashion show. Then when the brokers come and they like what they see, they bring it back to their store, to their buyers to sell properties. So to me, the brokers open house is like a fashion show. Here's the other thing. We like to get feedback from the agents right out the gate to tell us what they think about your property. So it's better to know what the agents are thinking the first 2 weeks of being on the market versus 2 months later. So it's kind of similar to when they did all movie premieres, and they would first do a private little launch, and people would come and fill out a survey about that movie. And sometimes they will make corrections to the movie based on that feedback that they've gotten. Our yard sign, when you put a for sale sign that says Power Realty on it, it says something to everybody, which is, boy, these homeowners must be committed to selling because they hired a real estate professional. As a matter of fact, when they see my sign, they only have to speak English or read English. They know what that means. That's the power of that sign. It's kind of like 7-Eleven. You know exactly what that brand stands for. And that's the case that we've got here with ours. By the way, consider replacing the images that I'm showing you with actual tools or photos that you use in your business. Real photos work better. So, for example, a public open house, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, it's public open house. Let me tell you why that's so powerful. I'm going to show this. Hey, Julie, when I showed that video, was the volume okay?
Yep.
Because here's another one. And boy, we don't have time to go through this whole video, but I'm going to show it really quick. Mr. and Mrs. Hana, one of the reasons why selling on your own is a disadvantage to you is because here's what happens. What HGTV did, they had this show called Sell This House. And it was really powerful because what they did is they put hidden cameras throughout a house, and then buyers would come through and comment about the house. Now, what would happen is after they want, well, here, let's look at a little clip.
This is the part of the show where prospective buyers say mean things about the home, just like in real life.
Oh my gosh, I got a lot of stuff on the wall.
Yeah, it is a lot of stuff. Oh, good grief. Feathers.
I have never seen anything like it.
Comments like these can be hard for homeowners to see.
Now, so it goes through some more of the comments about how horrible the house is. And here's the point. Mr. and Mrs. Hana, when you're selling privately, you have buyers coming through. They probably have told you, oh, we love your house. It's beautiful. Some of them might even said, oh, we're going to get back to you. And they still haven't called you. Why is that? Because there's something probably they don't like about the property, but they're not going to tell you to your face because you're the homeowner. They're going to be respectful. But you see, when I'm doing an open house and the buyers are coming through and they know I'm the real estate agent, they have no problem telling me right to my face what they really think about your property. I then bring this very important marketing data back to you so that way you can make an informed, educated decision about making any changes that you choose to do to sell it to the very people we're trying to sell it to. In other words, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, I'm like those hidden cameras in that television show. I'm going to hear things you're never going to hear. That's why Kobe Sambrado, the for sale buyowner.com guy, couldn't sell his own property. That's why the buyowner.com guy listed with a real estate agent. For that reason alone is why you need to hire a professional. Bada bing. Let's go on. Neighborhood open house. We want to invite the neighbors because there's some value there. Somebody's coming. It's kind of like when they come to, we give them flyers so they can bring those flyers back to other people. It's kind of like Macy's when they used to have the makeup. When you would make up the face, it's like a flyer because after they've seen the house, it's reminding them of the experience and of the property. So that's another powerful thing. Lockbox. You know, if you look at the high-end buildings in real estate, they'll have a concierge. The whole job of a concierge is to make sure that the people who are in the building are the people that belong in the building. And if they don't belong in the building, they sign in, they sign out. Who are you seeing? What time was it? That's what the lockbox is. It's like having your own personal concierge. And here's the other thing about a lockbox. You're never off the market. See, the problem is that when you're selling on your own and you're not home or you're not available to show your property, it's like you just close your business. And when a buyer's ready to buy now, you want to capture that, you see. We're like an ATM. The house is, you always have access to your house. Now, of course, we're not going to show it at 2 in the morning, but the point is you're never off the market. You're never closed. Here's the other thing. We have to take training classes just to write copy that helps sell your property the right way. Like there's certain do's and don'ts of words to use. There's been psychology done on this very process of what words to use and what words not to. And in this day and age of fair housing, there's some words that trigger with Facebook, for example, where your ad could even get shut down because you wrote the wrong copy. This is why you hire a professional. And the photos, we don't just take sloppy photos. Because your photo is your digital billboard. See, as nice as this is for a kid, this can be distracting. But my company, we have the technology where we can take this house, this room, and actually clean it up and create a virtual version of that same exact room. Or we can take a kitchen, very simple kitchen that has a little just natural day. You live in your own kitchen. You've got some paper in the corner over here. Well, we want to get rid of that. Get rid of the pots and the pans and the paperwork just to make it look a little bit more presentable. Sometimes people can't see what a house would look like when it's vacant like this. So we simply can virtually add the images to really show your house in its best possible light. This is a beautiful house, but you know what? It's a little cloudy day and the grass is a little not as green. So we can digitally enhance that just a little bit to show the house in its best possible light. So when I work with my sellers, Mr. and Mrs. Hanna, we go through how to prepare for the photo shoot so we can get the best images, because that is the virtual salesperson, the visual that's virtually selling your property. We also got to prepare for social marketing. You think social marketing, you just throw some posts on Facebook. You want to know something? It's not that easy. You see, first of all, what we know is the internet has become so valuable in selling a house in today's market. More than 59% of the people said that they first looked on the internet, 28% working with an agent. But anyway, let me just show you an example. My company has an incredible marketing program that we use social media for. But let me show you why this is so important and why I go to school just for stuff like this. This is the guidelines for Facebook, and if you want to do any kind of advertising. And then you also have Instagram has their own separate guidelines. And then in addition, LinkedIn has a whole set of rules on how to use ads on their platform. And then, of course, there's Twitter. But then if you look at just the imaging, each one of them has different dimensions that you need for a photo. So here's my point. It's not just taking some photos and writing some copy and throw it on social media. I have to come up with 5 different versions of the same ad just to make sure that it's effective. And virtual tours, virtual tours is become in this day and age, and you might show them virtual tours at this point, but virtual tours to me has become the digital streaming of real estate. You cannot sell a property in today's market if you don't have some understanding and use a virtual tour because of how the pandemic has changed things. Here's the point that I'm trying to make, Mr. and Mrs. Hanna. Finding the buyer is only part of what a real estate professional does. We got to bring the transaction all the way around the board to bring it to closing. I said it before and I'll say it again. If selling a house was as simple as just putting an ad out into the world, you wouldn't have to be licensed by the state. So there's got to be more rules to this game of real estate. And this is why I'm licensed. And then the last thing, gang, is getting them to sign the listing agreement. You agree on the price. You substantively start filling out the form. You don't ask. You've been there for long enough. You just start filling out that paperwork. You say, let me get some information. By the way, what's today's date? And they answer. You start writing, either virtually or in person. Keep them involved. Don't let there be silence. You need to learn how to write and talk at the same time. You might say things like, should we put the sign by the driveway or should we put it on the other corner? What do you guys think? And I'm still filling out while I'm asking questions like, should we include the washer and dryer? I think so, right? Everybody does. You hand them the pen, you direct the signature, and then you ask the spouse a question while the other one is signing. And bada bing, there you go, Julie. That is how you get super confident on a listing appointment. How we do?
Bada bing.
And I finished a few minutes early there, which is awesome. Now, listen. We're going because we want to have time for questions. So I want you to start thinking about your questions. You can start writing questions. But first, those of you that are guests, I have a special for you. I'm going to show you how to get a copy of the slides and the recording today. First of all, the Power Program is a month to month. There's no long-term contract. It's $47. But today, if you wanted to kick the tires for $5, you could do that. You get complete access to everything. Bonuses today you get to keep, and you can cancel anytime, as I said. Let me just give you the Reader's Digest version real quick of what the program is. Every Monday we have coaching calls with our students. This is where you can talk. It's not like this where I'm presenting and you're watching and listening. This is an opportunity for you to actually take yourself off mute and then say, hey, Darryl, I've got a challenge. I had this situation. I then coach you It's a group coaching call, but we record it so people can listen to it later. One of our power agents, Celeste, I set aside the coaching time every Monday and the webinars on Wednesday. I hope she's on the call now, Celeste. If I have any questions, I know I can call. So the Facebook group and the directory, I'll show you that in a second. We have all of the webinars that we do every Wednesday, and we've been doing weekly webinars since March or April of last year. So we have a tremendous amount of content that you can watch on demand. There's a closed Facebook group that is actually awesome. The brainstorming is incredible that happens there. The networking, the referrals, the Power Agent website. I want to show you just some screenshots of what that is. When you go to the website and you click on Classroom, that's where the magic is. Then you've got the topics like buyers and the CRM, but then you have then you have farming and self-promotion. Let's just look at that. If let's say you needed some help with farming and self-promotion and you click there, there is literally hundreds of forms and flyers and checklists. Everything you've seen today on the webinar is from the website that we give to the power agents, and you can customize these things. There's so much content. What we did is we added this favorite feature where you can create your own folder of items that you like that you want to use and customize. There is a search function that uses similar technology as Google, that when you type in something, like let's say you type in FSBO, everything FSBO related, the infamous dialogue on calling for sale by owners, which will get you 3 appointments for every 5 conversations, some other training, promotional things. Bud, I know Bud is on the call from Jersey. Hey, Bud. And he said he used to wait a whole year for me to do my live presentation, come to the area. Now $47 a month. It's a bargain, which is really nice. Thank you. So here's the gifts that we have for the guests. If you want to kick the tires for a month, you're going to get a copy of that PowerPoint slide deck, which is 103 slides. And you're going to get the recording on how to deliver that listing appointment. In addition, we created this e-guide that you can give to buyers or to sellers when there's an offer, to tell them, hey, in a multiple offer situation, here's the best way to handle this. And that is customizable. So you can put your contact information and everything's customizable. If you're a new agent or an experienced agent that needs to restart your business, we created a 29-page book, if you will, on here's what we think you should start to restart your business, right? We took the best dialogue from the Power Program website, and we created a script book, if you will, of the 12 most requested and favorite dialogues, how to set up a business page for those of you that need that as far as Facebook is concerned. It's just a gift. The Breakthrough Business Plan, which no matter what time of year, this is so valuable. This is 43 pages because this actually has 3 business plans in one. There's a section on how to generate business in the next 30 days. There's how to generate long-term business. And then there's financial freedom for those at a higher level of income on how to plan for your retirement. We have this, we wrote this and launched this at the end of December, which is the 2021 predictions. It's still valuable because some of the predictions have been coming true, and it's telling people what to anticipate the rest of the year. You can use that as a mailing piece. Plus, you get a copy of the slides today, a copy of this webinar. And if you need a CRM, you don't have one, you have one called the Power Builder, and you can access that for 30 days. Okay. With that said, what we're going to do is we're going to answer questions. So if you are a power agent, of course, we want to hear your questions. If you're a guest, the questions can be either about the topic today or about the power program, becoming a power agent. By the way, I forgot that the value of all this, you get to keep this for $5. So if you decide to sign up now and then cancel within the 30 days, you get to keep everything that's on the screen. Okay. All you got to do is click on that button. I'm done. I'm back to you.
You're going to need a sandwich or something after this. You were tired.
As far as questions.
Janet said, how do you feel about agents advertising sellers pay no commission on the sale of a home? Buyers pay all the commissions.
If a seller's advertising that, Janet, I think it's totally fine. I would just ignore it. When it comes to listing homeowners, FSBOs especially, it's a process, right? So you don't pay too much attention to what they say in the beginning. They haven't met you. If they're advertising that, I get it. So, but here's the point, the good sign. When a homeowner says, I'm not paying you, the buyer can pay you, but I'll work, you can come show my house, that's a good thing. So you just get in the door, you start the conversation, you start building the relationship. And usually people say things out of ignorance because they really don't understand the best way to sell their house. So that's why they have you. So that's my advice there. It's good to work.
Is that presentation available to power agents, and is it a template to make personalized, customized, the listing presentation?
Yes, the listing, first of all, I know we call it in our industry listing presentation, but at Power headquarters, we call it listing conversation because it's not about presenting and selling. It's about serving and having a conversation with another human being, how to get to their next level. But it is a structured conversation that you can help them discover the value that you bring to the table. But to answer your question, yes, it's customizable. So everything that we have, and I will tell you, I'll jump over to this now. Everything in the Power Program website is customizable. So if I were to go do classroom and then I go to listing, this is all alphabetical here. So if I go to listing appointment, you will see a bunch of items. You'll see the USA Today article there. You will see the Colby Sambrata article is somewhere. These are all, everything that's on this screen right now, you can open it up and then you can put your information there. And by the way, if you don't like something that we wrote, you can actually edit it. So there's that option as well. Okay.
Wonderful. How do you handle a question about your prior deals if you have limited completed deals? In other words, if you don't have a lot of closings or listings?
Yeah, if you're an agent, there's that FSBO thing that I talked about today at the beginning of the call. It's in the listing appointment. And there's the HGTV video gang, and it's in the listing appointment. But to answer your question, if you're a new agent and you don't have a lot of experience, you can simply focus. What I would do is focus on your company stats, right? So if your company is very productive and a leader, that's what I would lean on. And then that's it. So, and here's the most important thing too, is if you talk about your confidence, if you have confidence in the listing appointment, usually people won't ask you how long you've been listing and selling because they'll feel your confidence, and that's important. The other last thing is new agents, you may even want to go with an experienced agent in your company on your first few appointments until you start getting some listings, and that'll help as well. Next question.
It sounds like we do have a lot of new agents on the call. So we do have a whole section for new agents. We definitely suggest you go through that e-guide if you want to.
Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
So there's a section. So again, the classroom is where all the magic is. And what Julie's saying is the new agent, there's a section that we devoted to new agents so they're not overwhelmed. And there's just some articles, some things to help you stay focused, some charts. There's the FSBO dialogue, the voicemail dialogue. Those of you that don't know me, that's my specialty, is FSBOs and expireds, listing them, calling them, prospecting them. Then there's a simple business plan. So there's the sample listing appointment book. So anyway, there's the slides that we talked about today. Now, this is not everything on the website. We just took the website, the Power Program site has over 500 things. But for the new agents, we kept it simple to get you started. And by the way, we have this chat function that's really awesome. And there's real human beings. You'll see that photo there is actually what Julie looks like that you hear in the background right now. But if you have questions about the site or about something, we're there to support you and help you. And so just know that as well. Okay, next question, Julie.
Wonderful. On that note, we use the same dialogue for expired listings who are already upset with their last realtor. So would you switch up the dialogue if they're mad at their last realtor for not getting results?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So let me tell you, that's a great question. What'll happen is if you do what I'm teaching, which is using stories, metaphors, and analogies, they will hear the same information the previous agent shared, totally different. Anytime I went on an expired listing appointment and I would use metaphors, analogies, whether it was the director's technique, the Broadway show technique, or the fashion show technique, or Macy's flyer, almost always homeowners would interrupt me after only 2 or 3 items. And they said, boy, no one's ever explained it to me this way before. There's a whole psychology. We don't have time to talk about this today, but the metaphors and analogies All right, I have to talk about it because I just said it. So here's the psychology behind metaphors and analogies. It's similar to a movie. When you watch a movie and the dog got hit by a car and you start crying, you know, that dog didn't really get hit. It's a movie, it's made believe. But what happened is that there's a memory that we have that came to the surface, and we imprinted our memory to what we're seeing and we connect with it. So when you're using a metaphor analogy, like the fishing pole technique to explain fishing trawler and the marketing that we do, people don't just hear what you're saying, they actually feel what you're saying. That's the power of metaphors and analogies. And so you want to really master that. There's all the dialogue. When you go to prospecting, we have dialogue for I have a buyer, book of business dialogue, the expire dialogue for calling expireds. There's the FSBO dialogue, houses for rent. So we're really, when it comes to the telephone, we have the best dialogue. Nobody can match us on that. Next question.
Wonderful. So I'm going to kind of combine two questions. Claudia asked, what company do you use for digital staging of the pictures? And Fred asks, how do we personalize the buyer package? So if you want to show the tech tools and training tab.
Okay.
Box Brownie is the company that we suggest, and there's a coupon for them in there. And there's a whole hour plus webinar with great, how do you digital stage the pictures? What strategies to use with that? And there's a tech tool and training for the PowerPoint. There it is right there. So Fred, that's going to walk you through how to customize, whether that's the buyer packet or whether that's the listing presentation. That's going to walk you through how to customize all of that.
So the Box Brownie is at the bottom there. And by the way, I'll show you something else. But before I do that, so if we had a webinar just recently where we had this woman who's a master at writing copy for descriptions on listings. So we did a whole hour on that one, and that's in the tech tool training. But what I wanted to show you, then there's the Box Brownie credit. But if I were to type in box, for example, because I can't remember where it is, probably that was not a good idea. Box Brownie. I hope it's going to work now. Watch, there's a problem with it. But there it is. So when I type in Box Brownie, there's a whole bunch of stuff there, an e-guide about it, the credit for you guys, and the video and some other stuff, checklist. So anyway, next question, Julie.
Charles was asking about the Red X, if we're still offering the Red X promotion. That's going to be in that tech tools and training as well, Charles. Alon, as a current power agent, do we also have all these goodies that are offered to new agents?
Yeah. So
yes.
Power agents, yes. Everything that I taught today, you already have. And because we were talking about the listing appointment, most of it's there. But I'll tell you something that we did recently, Power Agents, to make it easier for you. If you go to Darryl's Top Picks, when this recording is finished and edited, this video, this webinar, we're going to post it here. Now, so Darryl's Top Picks, you'll see we have the first thing is the Power Agent brainstorming sessions that we do periodically. So those are random, right? And then there's resources, but am I in the right place? Oh, yeah. Webinars. Where's the recording, Julie? So these are the bonuses. So I just did
webinars on demand.
Oh, that's where it is. Thanks, Julie. Mm-hmm. Ignore what I just said. Power Agents, if you go to webinars on demand, so this webinar, right, is going to show up on webinars on demand. It's going to be it's going to be here. So this will shift over. All these webinars will shift over because it's done in order. So today's webinar will be here. When you click on it, if there's slides, like this one I know had slides, that one didn't. But if I click on that one from 2 weeks ago or a week ago, there's the webinar, plus there's the slides that you get. So that's what will happen with today, okay?
Exactly. And if you'll go back to that, there's just an incredible library here of training. So, that's part of, what did you talk about? If you're just increasing your skills 10% a month, right? Like if you just watch one extra webinar a week or even a month, I mean, how much more are you going to increase your skills, right?
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of, some people have said, geez, this one page is worth $47 a month. That's in a year. That's not even, what is that? Not even a listing, a half a listing or a quarter of a listing. So this is all the kind of training that we have for you guys. But but there's so much more. That's just one thing.
I know a lot of our broker friends that are on the call. They bring people into the power agent training just because they can provide training for them. So
Yeah.
Carmen was with us before and she wants to come back. How would she do that?
Yeah, if you're a past power agent that you drop for whatever reason, what you'll need to do is don't sign up today like this. Or can they, Julie? Can they just click on the start?
And Gail will just reach back out to them if they want to.
So what'll happen is if you're a past power agent and you click on that floating button that's on the screen right now and you want to sign up, you could do that. But our office will contact you because you're not going to get the $5 trial because you've had that opportunity or you're a past power agent. So the other thing is you can just send a text through the chat and say, hey, I want to rejoin the program, and you can get in at the 47.
Exactly. How do I refer someone to the program?
Okay. So we have power agents. If you go to Classroom, you will see refer a friend. And the reason why people are referring, I didn't talk about it today, but that $5 trial is actually going to Feeding America. So we have this thing where we are sponsoring meals. And so 100% of your $5 goes towards Feeding America, actually. So.
Mary says, do you suggest doing the pricing for the listing before or after the marketing? I usually ask people and they always want to go over the math first.
Yeah, don't do that. Who asked that question?
Mary,
do not go over the price of the home. Do not discuss commission until you've shared, here's how you work. And the reason why is because homeowners make the horrible mistake of hiring an agent based on the price the agent tells them or the commission they charge. Listen, if you were going in for heart surgery, God forbid, would you be looking for the surgeon based on the fees that they charge you or based on their experience, education, and skill? Of course, it would be their skill. If you're looking for an attorney, anytime we need a professional, obviously there's a financial consideration that we have, but the focus is on the skill, not the cheapest, because you can always find the cheapest. And that's a mistake that homeowners make. The expired agents, the expired homeowners. And you can tell them, listen, here's a list of expired. You know what they all had in common? They hired the wrong agent. And most likely it's because they shop based on price and not based on skill. So let me first share with you, Mr. and Miss Hanna, how I work before we get into price. Because if you don't like how I work, it should not matter what price I tell you or what commission I charge. So let's first look at, do you think I'm the person that you want to work with? One step at a time. So that's how you do that. Next question.
what time are the coaching calls on Monday?
The coaching calls are 11 o'clock Eastern time. We promote them as going on for an hour, but we actually go longer. You'll notice we record every coaching call. There's you can click on this and put it into your calendar. Okay, next question.
What is your best tip for a part-time agent?
Best tip for a part-time agent is to focus on building, I guess, inventory and not working with buyers. Because when you're a part-time agent, if you've got a listing and you're at your other job or doing whatever you're doing, that listing will generate money for you because other agents are showing it. Now, inventory is really low in this market, and that's probably why reason if you put all your energies into that, that'd be better. Buyers can be a real suck of energy and a suck of time. And you could also, second tip for you as a part-time agent is consider working with another agent who's full-time to hold your hand and bring you through the process. Obviously, becoming a power agent for $5 and then $47 a month is my third best tip for you, and not in that order. I just want to be clear that $47 is month to month, so you can cancel any time. Okay. Next question, Julie.
Can you cancel? Is there a contract?
Nope. Cancel any time. You can sign up today and cancel tomorrow.
Claudia, can I share my power agent membership with my co-agent? No.
Claudia, yeah. So we don't encourage people to share their membership with somebody else. It's kind of like like Netflix. They change their policy, right? You have one account, one username, and if somebody else wants an account, they get their own. So Claudia, you should have your daughter-in-law get her own account.
Well, and if she's a real new realtor, to get a flavor for the system, I would invite her to join us every Wednesday for these webinars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that she's your daughter-in-law, Claudia, and yeah, same thing. It's spouses. We encourage people to see. So here's the thing. So you'll notice the Power Agent logo. Like Julie said, you can have your daughter-in-law on these calls every Wednesday. That would be great. But that Power Agent logo, like Realtor, is a registered trademark. Power Agent is a registered trademark. And only somebody who's a Power Agent can actually use that trademark. So there's a value in that as well. And we also find when people make a personal investment financially, they're more committed to actually applying it and using it. So.
Wonderful. Why not get open listings?
Why not get open listings? You have to clarify that because it depends on the state. Open listings mean different things in different states.
Gotcha.
I'll try and answer it how I think you mean it. And if not, then Claudia, just ask it. The problem with an open listing where the homeowner, what to say to a FSBO when they say 2 neighbors told me that they want to buy my house. Okay, that's different from an open listing. Claudia, here's what happens. If a FSBO says they have 2 neighbors that want to buy the house, what you could say to a homeowner is this. This is a great question, Claudia. And this is going to be a value for everybody that's still on the call. This is what I used to do. I'm going to use 6% just as an example. Don't anybody get twisted. We're not price fixing. That's just an example, a number. So let's say I'm asking the homeowner to pay a 6% commission. Now, I would tell a homeowner, here's what would happen. If we put it on MLS, I'm going to pay out half of that. So 3% goes to the selling side and 3% goes to me for the marketing side. Now, here's what I'll do for you, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana. If you've got your 2 neighbors, I'll do this for not just the 2. I'll do it for anybody. If you find somebody who wants to buy your house that isn't working with an agent, I will treat you as if you were the agent. And I will, just like I'd pay another agent 3%, I'm going to pay you 3%. And as selling it, and I've got the other 3%. But here's what I'll do. Because you're not an agent, I will take those buyers and manage the transaction for you. I'll make sure that they have good FICO scores. They've got the money that you need. And so that way, when you go to contract, I will manage this as if it's my own deal. Now, sometimes agents get confused. Darryl, you can't pay. That's against the law. That's not true because it's the homeowner. That's number one. Number 2 is I'm not really paying the homeowner 3%. I'm just reducing my fee for that situation to 3%. And I have no problem doing that because if I'm willing to pay a selling broker 3%, why wouldn't I give it back to the homeowner for finding their own buyer? Usually what happens is the homeowner, those deals never come through and, it doesn't cost you anything. So that was a long answer to Claudia's question.
But it was a good answer.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Yep. If I join, will I be able to add the Power Agent logo to my information within my company? I think it will give me more credibility like the realtor symbol.
Absolutely, Richard. You're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, one of the things we plan on doing too is actually spending advertising dollars to the general public and promote Power Agent even more. So you're absolutely right. If you go to Classroom and you go to Power, again, everything is alphabetical. G for greeting cards, listing, negotiating, but notes, objection handling, Power Agent purpose. What you'll see when you click on Power Agent purpose, first of all, there is a sample email signature line. Because we're just answering questions, I'm going to show everybody something. So my signature in my email that I send out, I'm going to show you something. And then we wrote one for Power Agents. But let me show you what mine is. So if I write new email, this is my email signature, Darryl Davis, CSP. And at the bottom, I put there, this CSP is conferred by the National Speaker Association, and only 2% of people have that designation. So that's at the bottom of my signature, right? So what we did was we created the same signature for Power Agents that says a Power Agent is a member of an exclusive program of dedicated professionals, less than 1% across North America, committed to helping buyers and sellers get to their next level in life. So once you're a Power Agent, you can use that definition. It explains about the logo. In addition to that, these are super Power Agents that we do every month. But there's where you can download your logo. and download all the logos. It explains, actually, there's a history behind this logo, what it stands for, and you'll learn about that as well. Okay?
Awesome.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay, so listen, if you're a guest, here's what I'm going to recommend you do is sign up now so you can get all these benefits, right? That once we say goodbye, that little floating bar that's up on your screen right now will go away. So that bar will bring you to the landing page that has all the benefits and bonuses that we're giving you. When you fill out that order form, you're going to get an email with a link to all of the things that we promise. So it'll happen instantly. Click on that now before we say goodbye, and so you can become Power Agent. In the meantime, I want to thank you for coming here. Just remember, the most important thing I wanted you to get out of this webinar today is that you are essential. You make a difference in people's lives. The money you make is a gauge as to how many lives you've touched. So focus on helping people get to their next level, and the money will just follow. Thanks for coming today. I appreciate you guys. Stay safe, stay focused, and don't forget to keep smiling. Bye-bye, everybody.